capture hearings resume today. Former ANC MP Vytjie Mentor is expected to testify. Now, Mentor's been a fierce critic of former President Jacob Zuma and the Gupta family. She's expected to give details about how the controversial family approached her in 2010, offering her the position of Public Enterprises Minister. Well, ENCA's Erin Bates has been attending the hearings. She joins us now for a quick look back and a look ahead, I suppose. Erin, good morning.
Morning.
Yes, and as for anybody who might have missed Friday,
oh my goodness.
and Vytjie
Jonas, missed out.
We missed out, or they missed out, those who didn't get to watch that and hear that. Just recap for us, if you can, just the highlights, and then bring us to today.
Sure. So I think what's important is that Vytjie Jonas went through a lot of what most of the general public already knows around that meeting at the so-called Saxonwold Shebeen in October of 2015, where he says he was induced with a 600,000 Rand cash sort of installment.
Was it 600? Oh,
it was, and then it moved up to 600 million. So
okay.
It was 600,000 cash on the table with the promise of 600 million altogether. And he gave details again of that meeting, but he also very importantly spoke of a death threat he says the Gupta brother made when he refused that offer. And he says Duduzane Zuma and a man very much involved in the arms deal was also there. And then he also spoke very significantly about the Hawks shutting down an investigation. He said because they perceived it to be a DA investigation around that meeting. So him saying he didn't have confidence in the Hawks or in any of the law enforcement agencies because they'd been hollowed out and corroded, you could say, because of what was happening politically in the country at the time. So the death threat and that very sort of shocking information about the Hawks not following up on the meeting properly because of political perception of the complaints by two DA MPs were two of the biggest takeaways from Friday.
Wow, okay. And then we'll have Vytjie Mentor, and this is where it also started, that Facebook post back in 2016. What are we expecting from her today?
So we expect her, much like Vytjie Jonas, to go through what's already been in the public domain. But perhaps like him, we will see other explosive allegations coming out of her testimony. Of course, important to remember at this point, we don't have a verdict on cross-examination in the inquiry. So anybody who's implicated in either Jonas's testimony or Mentor's testimony does not, at this point, through legal counsel, have the right to cross-examine. But in terms of what she's going to say, in fact, we can look back to an interview that she did back in 2016 and what she said about a meeting allegedly with the Gupta brother. Let's have a look.
If you assist with the ASSC not running the Indian route anymore, you will become minister in a week's time or so. The president did not take offense to me saying to him that I'm disgusted and I have not agreed and I cannot agree. He said, I understand Tombazana in Sizulu.
And then Vytjie Mentor, I mean, also, you know, she's been adamant from the start. She's refused to back down on this, Erin. I mean, she really has been, you know, even saying that she was also threatened and also coming up with those allegations. So it really sounds like it was a scary time for people who were involved or who were approached.
Yes, and in fact she said there has been some intimidation ahead of her testimony in the inquiry. Of course, her critics, Carl Niehaus being one of them, who spoke to Jane Dutton last week, questioning her credibility, that kind of thing. We know there were concerns over a China trip that she wanted to take with Transnet, possibly, you know, bankrolling that, or I think it was confirmed, in fact, that they'd provided the finance for that. But certainly, yes, she had faced intimidation at the time that she made that Facebook post. And in fact, I've got a quote directly from it where she speaks about being offered the Minister of Public Enterprises position when she says Barbara Hogan got the chop, is how she put it. So that's really the sort of the root of her allegations around the Gupta family and their interference in ministerial positions. But talking about that intimidation, our colleague Annika Larsen did an interview with her in 2016, and she spoke exactly about that.
South Africa must know that Zuma and the Guptas have killed me. But I pray to a living God. I trust that my God will not let them harm me, but if ever, for some reason, my God will allow them to harm me, the blame should be put squarely on Zuma.
And I think, Erin, what stands out is that fight back and the sort of passion and the commitment to outing all of these things and just letting South Africa know at large exactly what happened at the time. I mean, obviously, we can say allegedly, but I think we've gone past allegedly when it comes to this case. And,
yes.
and I think we're seeing that with the rights of Mcebisi, Jonas and Vytjie Mentor.
Yes, of course, there is a lot of this which has been covered and traversed by the public protector then, Tuli Madonsela, and she and her team used a lot of cell phone records, for example, interviews with, tens of MPs, ANC seniors and the like, in order to verify the allegations of some of the people who are included in her state of capture report, which provides the foundation for this inquiry. Cynics, critics will go into the political climate now versus the time of the state of capture report's release, may argue that people are trying to score political points here in a new era, a new dawn, as it were, and perhaps there is something to be said for entertaining those arguments, even just for the point of kind of intellectual honesty. But today, we are going to see her unpacking the Pandora's box, as it were, spilling the beans.
More details,
More details coming out of her today. Interesting there, she talks about if she is to have anything happen to her, who we need to call, because the presidency statement that came out in 2016 after those explosive allegations in her Facebook post are really, really mean, you could say. I mean, the presidency said at the time, President Jacob Zuma has no recollection of Ms. Mentor. He is therefore unable to comment on any alleged incident in her career. Of course, what's important there is she said President Jacob Zuma, as he was then, was in an adjacent room when the Gupta brother allegedly made this offer for her to be Public Enterprises Minister. And him just saying, I don't recognize you, don't even remember you.
It's convenient. Yeah. Okay, well, let's wait and see what happens, what comes out from Vytjie Mentor's testimony. It's bound to be another explosive day, don't you think, Erin?
I think
so. All
so.
right, Erin Bates will tell us all about it when it happens. All right.